Last week, I discussed why having a growth mindset is required for leadership training and career advancement. Today is on leadership identity. See, before you decide to take on a leadership commitment, you need to understand what's required and then be that. It sounds simple, right? As straightforward and easy as that may sound, embodying leadership is what most aspiring leaders struggle with. In my last video, I specifically said you don't need a special title to be a leader. And you don't, but you need to actively choose it and understand the responsibility that comes with it. I don't know how many of you have ever heard someone say, do as I say, but don't do as I do. Does that really work? Hearing someone say one thing and then seeing them do something else. How much respect do you think someone can get with that? But do you know how many people in leadership roles do that? A lot. And this is not to judge anyone. This is to show you that it's easier said than done. My leadership training definitely started in college. I didn't come from a military upbringing, but after my dad passed away when I was 15, our family's financial situation changed. I eventually followed my sister's choice to attend an affordable military influence college where the job placement upon graduation was very high. It was scary taking out student loans, but I figured I could potentially be part of that 97% who were getting jobs after graduation. And fortunately, I was. Many employers saw the positive attributes the graduates possessed, and we were in demand. At 18, when I was introduced to military training, we had to trust what we were being told to do and do it. We weren't preparing to go to war, but we were preparing to learn and work in a dangerous environment. There were immense safety training required to accommodate hundreds of people aboard our high-pressure steam-driven training ship. If you made a mistake, it wasn't just your mistake. It involved many others. So you had to understand the responsibility of your role. We saw firsthand how respect was built on trust, honesty, and integrity. And one of the fastest way to lose it was to see someone not follow through on their word. Being tough, thick-skinned, and resilient were attributes that kickstarted my success. But what often happens is when we only focus on certain traits and not look at the bigger picture to see all that's required, there's often an imbalance. What was missing for me was my inability to be empathetic and vulnerable. Today, those attributes are needed to effectively lead. I had to release associating those words as weakness. It was not until I read The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown did I realize how lacking this trait throughout my career prevented me from reaching higher levels of success as an employee. In another book of hers, Dare to Lead, her definition of leadership was spot on. The essence of how she defines it is that leadership entails taking the responsibility to find the potential in people and then helping them develop it. Learning and practicing traits are great, but to truly lead, you have to understand that it's not about you. Effective leadership is to empower others and evaluate what drives their success. It's also important to realize that you are a facilitator and your primary responsibility is to lead by example. I want to share a quick story. It was a couple of years in my late career when my boss came back from vacation. I told him, guess what? I didn't yell at anyone while you was away. He jokingly said, well, if you didn't yell at anyone, then maybe you weren't doing your job. I asked him, so is part of my responsibility to be an asshole? He smiled and said, yeah, I guess, kinda. Joking or not, when you look up to a leader and they insinuate a certain behavior, you follow it. Sometimes we're taught a certain way because the person who taught us was taught a certain way. And just because that's the way it's always been done doesn't make it right. It is important to continuously assess and reassess new ways to grow. As I've said it multiple times, we are all a work in progress, and each day we have an opportunity to make a difference. As Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. A quote I keep on my wall, if you can see it, is by Gandhi, and it says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." I do my best to live by that. I hope this insight has resonated in some way, and the next time you hear someone say, "Do as I say, don't do as I do," please remind them how important it is to lead by example. You can see me next Tuesday when I share insight number 3 to this 12-part leadership series. See you then.